A month before to the wedding, my sister's now husband, Mike, and I, a 29-year-old woman, got engaged. I came in to find my 33-year-old sister Lily and her 33-year-old partner having sex on my bed. I immediately threw him out. I did some research and discovered that my sister was 2 months pregnant with his baby and that they had been having an affair for 6 months. Lily was shunned by the majority of our family, but she was welcomed back following the birth of her daughter Emily. The main reason for this is that Emily was the first niece, first grandchild, and first great-grandchild. Shortly after Emily, then 6, was born, Lily and Mike also tied the knot. I don't talk to Lily, Mike, or Emily, despite the fact that she has been welcomed back into the family. I'm not interested in interacting with them. Even though I know Emily is innocent in all of this, seeing and being around her makes me feel all of the hurt that I experienced when I learned about Lily and Mike. I just can't seem to forgive and go on, despite our parents' best efforts. The problem now is that my sister's parents often watch Emily while she works or runs errands. Lily enjoys unexpectedly dropping Emily off. Our parents weren't home when she arrived to drop off Emily last week, despite her reportedly having an emergency at work. Since our grandparents bequeathed me the house where we currently reside, our parents actually live with me. They would not be returning till the following day after going out with some pals. She pleaded and asked if I could watch Emily since she wasn't working that day when I told her this. I told her straight up no. She persisted in pleading, claiming to be my niece and that it would only be for a few hours. I declined her request once more. I simply turned to leave after she said, "Okay." Her car pulled off and the doorbell rang a few minutes later. There stood Emily when I opened the door. I asked her about her mother, and she replied, "Mommy said you'll look after me." I then carried her inside, called Lily, and threatened to contact the police to report that a kid had been abandoned at my door if she didn't return for her child. Following some back and forth, she returned and took Emily with her. When my parents got home the following day, they were really upset with me for what I had done. They left, saying things like, I should have grown up already and gotten over my hatred for Lily and her family, and I almost cost Lily her job. I made an effort to reassure them that I've moved on, but the truth is that I don't want to interact with Lily or her family at all. They went on and on until I simply turned to leave. After that, Lily's pals started phoning and texting me, calling me names like an idiot and other derogatory things. I asked my other siblings and a few friends about it, and I received differing answers. While some believe my reaction was warranted, others think I was a fool who should have merely spent a few hours watching the child. Was I a fool in this situation? Not the fool. Putting history aside, you do not simply give your child to someone who has refused you. I won't be in charge of your child. This sister is a conceited fool who believes she is capable of doing pretty much everything. Want to date your sister's fiancé? Verify. Entire time child care? Verify. If OP gave it some consideration, I'm sure she could come up with a list of questions that an average adult would ask before she just assumes anything. Correct? What if you ignored the ringing doorbell because you didn't hear it or believed it was your sister? That might have turned out very badly. OP, you declined, and the kid was left behind. You were given less communication than this, you even called to alert your sister to come get your child. Your parents are attempting to say to you, we've moved past this, we don't care if you haven't. Not that you're the idiot, but it's time to go. Living somewhere Lily, Mike, and Emily feel free to pop by whenever is doing absolutely no help for your mental health. It will also steer clear of such circumstances. It's not acceptable that your parents are residing in your home. It seems that not only are they disregarding your totally fair boundaries, but they're also taking advantage of you, therefore it's probably time for them to move on. They could see Emily as much as they'd like if your sister could take them. Selling the house, giving them notice, and moving somewhere else where they don't have the address is a plan that I wholeheartedly endorse. My brother and his spouse are soon to have their 5th child collectively. I received an invitation to her sister's kid-friendly baby shower last week. I, 21, glanced at the date and, since my sister-in-law really wanted me to go, I made the decision to go even though I had an exam coming up and I don't get along with my brother's in-laws. There were lots of youngsters at the party when I got there. I sat down and observed the children, including my sister-in-law's children, disturbing the festive mood with their loud noises. The sister-in-law was starting to lose patience with her sisters. My sister-in-law led the children upstairs and motioned for me to come with her. She sent them into the guest room and asked me to keep an eye on them while she went back to her room. Thanking her, I informed her I wasn't feeling it. I answered, "Okay, 5 minutes." She closed the door and disappeared for 5, 10, and then 12 minutes. She added, "Just 5 minutes." Sister and Lolly don't act like kids are terrifying creatures. The children were chatting along already. She informed me she was coming when I contacted her phone. I waited for 5 minutes, and then 5 more. I went to talk to her downstairs. When she noticed me, she drew me aside and instructed me to watch the youngsters upstairs again. She persisted and put pressure on me, which infuriated me. I shouted, "Why? I'm here for the party, not to babysit." I declined, telling her that I wouldn't be left to watch over 13 children in one room while she and the family enjoyed themselves downstairs. Even with kids, I'm not that great. Yes, I adore my nieces and nephews, but for someone like me, raising over 13 children is a lot and not an easy chore. I picked up my jacket and announced my departure. Despite her pleas for me to return, I turned and left. My sibling was furious. When she told him I had left, he ordered me not to have and labeled me negative and unsupportive for leaving in that manner and embarrassing his wife in front of guests. I reminded him that I had important things to do but still managed to attend, and I told him about the 13-plus kids she had assigned me to watch. Rather, she kept me alone in her room as she celebrated. My parents and he both want me to apologize for being impolite and ruining my sister-in-law's celebration. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. First, who has a baby shower after 5 children? Please, give me a rest. Secondly, if they wanted a kid-friendly shower, they need to have scheduled childcare. You are not the moron in this situation, everyone else is. It's crazy that you're taking a 5th baby shower, but it's absurd to expect free daycare without even asking. They should have had their spouses watch the kids or hired a real babysitter to keep them occupied if they wanted adult time to celebrate the arrival of the new baby and enjoy each other's company. No matter how much money they are offered, I'm very sure no babysitter in the world would be willing to watch 13 unrelated children of all ages in one small room. If such a person exists, they ought to receive a medal for danger pay. And that's exactly why your sister-in-law didn't inquire. It was clear that she was attempting to con you into taking on the role of babysitting. Not the fool, you were really patient throughout the entire thing and had clear communication. You did a great job managing things. Your sister-in-law and the rest of your family ought to be prepared to raise a large number of children if that is their desire. It seems as though they are attempting to force their opinion of what a woman ought to do down your throat. It's a good thing they didn't step on you. How daring some people can be. They make a mistake, cry about being ashamed, etc., play the victim, and then demand an apology from you. For what reason should you apologize? I apologize for accepting your invitation to the party just to have me watch the kids for free. That doesn't mean you have to take responsibility for her bad planning. You decide to invite children to your party, then? Excellent, make appropriate plans. She has 4 children already, so it's not like she has no idea how they behave. Not a single justification. I was 22 when I first met Will. Will, 29, had recently become a widower and had 2 children. During our brief courtship, he introduced me to the children and quickly incorporated me into their life. Within the first few days of our meeting, Will expressed his certainty that I was the one for both himself and his children and that we would have a wonderful, happy family life. When Will and I got married, I was 23 years old, his kids were 6 and 8, and he was 30. Will suggested that as part of our wedding ceremony, the kids and I made commitments to one another. Will soon put all the responsibility for the kids on me. I had always worked full-time and was not a stay-at-home husband. However, he always gave me excuses to take care of the kids. He was sore from doing a physical job. I was better at it because I had previously babysat children of this age, and he never had any girl goods or culinary supplies for his daughter. He always had a motive, and I was the one who was ultimately blamed. Tired from bringing in the money and maintaining a roof over everyone's heads, though that wasn't really true, he started playing video games and unwinding from the time he got home till bed. He claimed he was due for a break. After that, he took his buddies out or brought them home to watch TV and drink beer. With me, he established a big attitude, which he then promoted in the children. They laughed at it. He began to openly show me disdain and urged them to follow suit. I was cast as the wicked witch, and he was the ideal fun dad. They all expected me to serve them and be there to pick them up all the time, but they also occasionally banded together to make fun of me. I felt bad about leaving the marriage after the first year because I had made commitments to the children, even though I knew it was a major mistake. After a year, I came to the realization that I truly detested both of the children and could no longer appear to be loving them, even though I tried and understood they were only children and I didn't really blame them. I never would, and I didn't. I simply left one day, packed up everything I owned, and moved out when no one else was home. I said goodbye and left a message explaining why it wasn't working. That marked the conclusion. My ex-husband and I had a contentious divorce, but ultimately, we left the marriage with little of what we had before entering it. I had no rights or obligations towards the children because I had never formally adopted them, and I never got in touch with any of them again. To be really honest, I was happy to get rid of them all. I'm still in my 30s, yet 15 years seem like a lifetime ago or the life of someone else. Recently, I received a startling communication from Tamara, the 25-year-old daughter of Will. Tamara claimed that when I broke my promises to them, I deceived her and traumatized her for the rest of her life. She asserted that it was my duty to stay put at all times. But I'm sure she still recalls how cruelly she handled me. Here, am I the fool? Not the fool. Instead of wanting a marriage, your husband swept a younger woman off her feet by hiring her to be his live-in cook, nanny, and maid. When he begged you to promise the kids, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was using emotional blackmail to get you to stay in spite of the horrible treatment you received. The children lost their mother, which is tragic, but their father was terrible to them and to you by encouraging them to treat you as the evil stepmother. She obviously carried on with her behavior after you departed, and he persisted in telling Tamara and her brother all the lies. Bravo for having the strength and discernment to get yourself out of there. Sadly, a lot of people lack the strength to accomplish that. If kids only have one toxic parent, I believe it is psychologically safer to place the blame somewhere rather than on them. She seems to be expressing a desire for protection from her toxic upbringing, and you seem to be a convenient target for her rage. She is upset about what she has gone through, even though you did the right thing. Hopefully, she'll come to the conclusion that someone who is a few years younger than her now also shouldn't have been placed in that circumstance. Respond to her message by stating that their father set you up as the family's nanny and punching bag and that the marriage was unhealthy. He was wanting to be a doormat, not a partner or love interest, and he pushed your children to follow suit. Declare to her that their hang-ups are their own, close that chapter of your life, and promise never to let their father hold you back in the future. Not the fool. The children have been misled and given false impressions of the nature of that marriage. My wife of 46 years old died approximately 2 years ago. I haven't had the confidence or the want to try dating since then. Since my children are all enrolled in college, I make an effort to leave the house once a week and go out to eat by myself. I looked at the menu when I arrived at the restaurant, and I was instantly struck by how much my waiter resembled my late wife. When she came back to give me my lunch, I got up the courage to ask her out to supper. She chuckled, said she would give it some thought, and turned to go. After I finished my meal, I felt good about asking, and another server came over to collect my money. When I asked him what had happened to the previous waiter, he explained that she had ordered him to clear her table since she no longer felt comfortable serving me. After putting myself out there and experiencing such rejection, I was really ashamed. I believe that it would have been alright and that receiving a brief message from her would have been preferable. Was I the foolish one to ask her out? It's you who is the fool. You should provide your number on the receipt if you wish to ask a waitress out. Much less uncomfortable and gives her more control without making her feel under pressure from you. Cool, if she's interested. If not, you'll probably get a text from Big Jerry, the grill. Man. It's you who is the fool. Please remember moving forward that you don't make romantic advances towards people at their places of employment. This is much better recognized now. I wish you luck, but if you're asking out ladies that look like your wife, I'm not sure whether you're over the loss of her by much enough to date. If anything, you should see a grief counselor and discuss your situation with them. Grief is a complex and terrible emotion, therefore it's wise to talk to a specialist. In addition to looking after yourself, remember to show others consideration. People should be loved for who they are when you date them, not for what you believe they might look like or behave like. Dude, you are the moron. She needs to treat you politely. In the worst situation, she might lose her job, and in the best case, she might lose her tip. I'm average, 46 years old, and overweight. Nevertheless, every day when I run errands, at least 6 random guys make eye contact with me, try to pull my shirt off, etc. It becomes tiresome, and you never know when one of them will lose it completely and become an idiot in a fit of wrath because he feels you didn't react correctly to him hitting on you. Leave women alone to try to accomplish their jobs, please, please, please. In just a few weeks, I will receive my college degree. My folks are visiting the city for the graduation. Our family is middle class, yet my parents are very frugal with their money. Even if we didn't have to, most people would consider them inexpensive because we grew up scrutinizing every dime. Growing up, they did a lot of things to save money, but one of the largest was making their own lunch and dinner for whatever event they went to, be it a concert, a sporting event, a vacation, or somewhere else entirely. They might be seen cooking in the parking lot with a portable tailgate barbecue or bringing a sizable cooler full of sandwiches. They never ate out, which is great since it taught me good money management skills, but the inconvenience of it all eventually got to be too much to handle. We would have to carry large coolers all day, find room in the car for road trips, and, to be honest, we would be embarrassed by the strange looks we would get when grilling in hotel parking lots. It dawned on me that something wasn't right. It made less sense the older I grew, particularly when you're on vacation. To acquire my meals, the last thing I want to do is work or rush to the grocery shop. In addition, I constantly relish exploring new eateries and cuisines. I therefore realized that this wasn't going to be my method when I started doing things on my own. For some reason, they place a lot of importance on packing sandwiches. I'm not sure what it is, but if someone suggests doing something different, they don't take it well. They recommended that they prepare sandwiches for lunch on the day of my graduation and consume them in the parking lot following ceremony. I objected to it, claiming that I had just completed a significant task. To be honest, the last thing I want to do is set up lawn chairs right away and have a lunch while dressed in the heat. We ought to visit one of the hip spots in my college town after that. I proposed that we take a low-key, reasonably priced trip, have a wonderful dinner, and then unwind and enjoy the day. They continued with their lecture, explaining in detail what we do and other things. I eventually gave up and said that I would prefer to go out with some friends but would still be pleased to hang out with them afterwards. That I genuinely don't want to go to a 5-star steakhouse or be spoilt or spoiled. Even yet, I found it annoying that my once-in-a-lifetime achievement would be dismissed and we would go about our days as usual. Therefore, am I the fool for wanting to go try something new? Not the fool. Ignoring a meal while on vacation? Clever. Leaving out the graduation celebration dinner? As cheap as dirt. The distinction between miserliness and frugalness is significant. Frugal living is budgeting while occasionally treating oneself to expensive but worthwhile items. For example, a 99 pair of sturdy shoes is preferable than a 10 thrift shop pair of soiled, ill-fitting sneakers. Not only was the OP not requesting an expensive steakhouse supper, but most people would make an exception to commemorate significant life events or achievements. Not the fool. The car park? Is there a nearby seaside park with picnic chairs, trees, and shade where they might transport their coolers? While you rejoice as you deserve, they can enjoy themselves while eating their sandwiches in the Hart parking lot.